Shopify Masters is powered by Shopify, the easiest way to sell online, in person, and anywhere in between. To get an extended 30-day trial, visit shopify.com/masters.
They wanted us on there for entertainment value. And we weren't looking for investors that sounded antithetical to what we were trying to do, but the marketing aspect of it was amazing.
Hey, my name is Felix, and I'm the host of Shopify Masters. Each week, we learn the keys to success from e-commerce experts and entrepreneurs like you. In this episode, you'll learn what is it like to hire someone to run your business, why introduce a $1 tier to a crowdfunding campaign, and why create a knockoff of your product to protect your brand. Today, I'm joined by Lauren Krakowskis from FreakerUSA.com. That's FreakerUSA.com. Freaker is the one-size-fits-all knit koozie that functionally makes your beverage feel special, and was started in 2011 and based out of Wilmington, North Carolina. Welcome, Lauren.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. So, tell us a bit more about this product that you sell.
So Freakers are amazing. They're super fun. They're one size fits all, like you said. They're knit bottle insulators. So it's kind of like a koozie, but we kind of think of it as the word koozie as a curse word. And it makes us shudder. Oh, well, just because we're trying to, separate ourselves from a product that you get for free at a trade show.
Right.
But we also make socks, and they all have really weirdo, wacky designs. There's something for everybody. So it's not just, the 50 Shades of Nay with a horse and a blindfold. There's also, NFL players and colleges and all of that jazz. So we're pretty set in the gift market, and everything we sell is under $20.
Where does this idea come from? Where did this idea to, you're saying, these are products that you typically would get for free. I want to talk a little bit later about how you message and you brand away from that image. But what gave you guys the idea to start a company like this?
Well, so I was living with Zach, who's the CEO and the other co-founder, and he's a colorful and untraditional character. He has not, cannot, and probably will never work for somebody else. He assumed, and we all assumed too, that he was going to end up homeless, and we had all accepted that. But he was my roommate at the time, and he had come up with the concept for the product, and it slowly evolved through the time to get where it is today. But he had the concept down before we started a company of just a one-size-fits-all knit beverage insulator that you can put some weirdo designs on. So your roommate came up with this idea, or he had this crazy personality, had this idea. Did you have any entrepreneurial business experience, either of you guys? Oh, absolutely not. Nobody that started this business. There was 4 co-founders in the beginning, and nobody had any idea what was happening in the business realm. We were all just artists and weirdos. Zach, again, he was the borderline homeless guy with just some weird tendencies. I had just gotten done in Boston, finishing up an international affairs degree. I was hoping to save the world from tyranny and the impending doom that we all feel all the time. But, I just gotten a job in Korea, but through the messiness of life, I found myself in North Carolina by accident. So before I was in e-commerce, I was just in coffee shops in denial. There was also a filmmaker that was a co-founder and a graphic designer. So we didn't have any background in how the world of trade worked.
So how did you guys pull all this together then? Because it sounds like none of you guys had backgrounds. You almost seemed like you guys were doing totally different things in life, different stages in life. How did you guys pull this all together?
I think that if we weren't so naive, we never would have. We were just it'll be great. We were just a group of friends, trying to work on a project. We didn't consider it this is the beginning of our lifelong career where we're going to become entrepreneurs and take over the world. It was more I just kind of want to make paper mache worlds in the back room of this dinky office and figure out a way to pay myself a livable situation. And, if something comes out of it, great. So we started this business with a group of creatives that kind of just wanted to have fun. And that turned into a marketing scheme. We had no idea that this is how actual companies start. And who knows if they were before the age of Kickstarter and the age of crowdsourcing and, social media support and, networking on the internet. I don't know if this was a way that you could have started a business before that. Maybe I would know if I had a business degree, but I don't. So Like this is like the creatives coming together just to like work on something. It turned out for a beautiful, wonderful like business based in, happiness and trying to take care of each other.
So you mentioned that there were a group of creatives. Was there other people outside of the initial founding four that were involved early on?
We always had like friends to help out with projects here and there, but there was no investors. Like we did a Kickstarter for our original funding. We did everything just like internet based. We didn't have any like, white dudes in suits telling us what the best strategy would be. We had nothing like that. So, I mean, and looking back on it, I'm really happy for that. Like forging our own path and figuring it out in untraditional ways has got us to where we are now, which is a really comfortable, happy place. So it worked out great.
Yeah. So before the Kickstarter campaign, were you guys selling any of these? Did you guys have products that were already selling at the time?
Zach had dabbled in it. Like he was trying to figure out how to do it, which is why I think he'd gone to a trade show before we founded Freaker USA as a company. And like his experience with like the actual world of gift markets and retail and how this whole like segment of society works, like his experience with that was like, well, I need a team of creatives. So that's when he like got all of us together. And it was mainly he wanted a good brand and marketing strategy that wasn't necessarily like laid out like a strategy. Like to this day, we still don't have a business plan. So like it's pretty free form, loose flowing. But he realized that like if we're going to sell this product that, most people think of a koozie as, just this promotional item that's a throwaway garbage. So if we were going to get beyond that stereotype of the product that we're, most related to, there's a lot of manufacturing differences with what we do. But, like to get past this stereotype of a koozie, like we would need a strong brand of colorful, fun. And that was the beginning catalyst for why we came together.
So I think you and your founding team are in a position that a lot of listeners are in too, which are passionate people that are creatives, that are artists, and they just want to continue doing their craft the rest of their lives. But, of course, there's rent, there's bills to pay. So they start thinking, okay, how can I turn my passion, my art into a business? What tips do you have to give, I guess, to people that are in that situation where they don't have a business background, they've never started a business before, similar situation that you guys were in? What steps can they take to try to set up their arts, their craft, their passion into a business?
Yeah, I have nothing but encouraging words. Like you live in the right time to have no experience and then still be successful. So the age of the internet and like starting an enterprise, like it's a phenomenal age for this because like you have Etsy for like starters. You have Linda. Linda is this online course. It's like an online database of just learning everything that you could possibly ever want to know about like how to profit off of your own creativity. Like the tools are there. They're there for you and they're generally free. Like we had no idea. And we found out about Kickstarter in early 2011. We're like, I don't know, let's just try it out. And then $60,000 later, we have a business. So I wouldn't be discouraged if you're a creative that wants to figure out how to profit off of this. Like you don't need experience at this point in time. Like the old traditional way of like making a business plan, finding an investor, like it's almost irrelevant at this point. Like you can still obviously go down that path if you'd like, but it's so many more doors are open to you if you don't have it. And something else I would tell them is like, don't focus on the money immediately. Like we didn't pay ourselves a normal wage for the first 3 years. And that's so normal. But you have to understand that you're doing what you love and you're working towards a goal to like have a sustainable lifestyle for yourself based off of what you love. And, it's definitely always worth it. Like having a business is a lot like having a baby. And I don't have children. Nobody in this business has children. But, it's always that thing where just like a baby, you have to care for a business and feed it and make sure it doesn't die and like the whole thing. And it's all a struggle, but it's all so rewarding, which is, people that do have children, they allegedly say it's rewarding. So I'm assuming it's the same concept and it's, you watch it grow and you're really proud of it and you're so much part of its life and it's part of your life. And, it's a really enriching experience. And if you can figure out a way for your passion and creativity and like what you enjoy doing, that can sail you through the rest of your life, like you have figured it out. It's great.
Yeah, I don't have children either, and I bet we're gonna make a lot of new parents angry in this topic. But I want to ask though, I think with raising children though, there is kind of I want to say a blueprint, but there's 7 billion people in the world, so it's been done over and over again. But with a business, there is kind of no blueprint along the way. How did you guys maybe ask this question then instead? What were some of the most important skills that you had to pick up along the way as a first-time entrepreneur, as someone that is more of an artist or more of a creative that you found most useful for you on the business side?
Honestly, we hired a person that was way more responsible and adult-like than we were. And she's been great. Like, she helps us, and we're learning. I mean, we're still learning. The business parts of things are so bureaucratic and so intense, and like you have to put so much into it, but it's always worth it. And it's been nice to, have a team of people to like figure this all out together. And our power structure is that like we're all working together. Like I guess there's, management and whatnot, but at the end of the day, like we're all in this together. Like it's an equal playing field. And it's been really like a enriching experience to have like a dedicated team of people that like none of us knew what we were doing ever. And so like figuring it out together has been a wonderful like team building experience. And I think that we all feel like this is our baby, which, it's obviously for the best because we all care about it a lot. And we've all put so much blood, sweat, and tears and happiness and, paint. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think what you're saying about how none of you guys knew what you're doing is an important one. And one of my most favorite posters I've seen says something to that effect, that no one knows what they're doing either, right? It's kind of like a learning process through the entire thing. No one's born knowing exactly what steps it takes to get where they need to or they want to be. So you guys decided to hire somebody to, I guess, what role did they come in to fill? Like, if you can give them a title, what would it be?
Right now, operations. But at the beginning, like we hired this girl. Her name is Alicia. She's amazing. But we kind of hired her because we were on the road. We bought a box truck with our Kickstarter money, and we turned it into a neon traveling party house. We threw grilled cheese parties across the states for marketing reasons. Like billboards are boring. What's not boring? Grilled cheese and parties. So let's do that. So while we were out of town for like 4 months, I believe, like we hired another friend of ours. Like, can you just help like get out some orders? And she was just so great about like, what's happening here? Like, none of this makes sense. Like, you guys, you're missing some key steps. And so, she also has an arts degree. Like, she's not a business person either, but she's just a little bit more focused on the normal steps of how to, invoice somebody, which is not something that we had ever thought about. But she's one of us, like it's not. We didn't hire a suit because of their past experience and responsibility. We hired somebody that we knew that was amazing, like the most adult young person I knew. She's still with us and, she's great. And she's helped a lot. But I think that even without her, the steps that had to have been taken, we would have had to figure out regardless.
When she came in, do you remember what are some of the things that she had to tidy up that she recognized, like, wow, we have to get a hold of this situation immediately?
I mean, a lot of it was logistics. It was just basic, like, guys, you have to ship this, like, on, this date. Like, this is cheaper if you do it this way. I mean, she didn't know what she was doing either, so it was all like a learning process together, but she was like a really perfect candidate to head spirit and figuring it out.
Okay, makes sense. So I want to talk about the Kickstarter campaign because that sounds like what kicked things off for you guys. You ended up, I think you had 2 campaigns. Let's talk about the first one first. The goal was $48,500, and you ended up raising broke through that almost $63,000 from 2,416 backers. So let's start with the goal. How did you guys decide the goal of 48,500?
So most of it was going to production and also trade shows. We knew that we wanted to not just do e-commerce, but like actually get into a physical presence with, gift stores and gift buyers. There's so many everywhere. And so trade shows are really expensive. So a lot of it went to that. And then we had a little bit left over, and that's when we were like, well, we should just buy a box truck. Why not? Which turned out for the best. But if we had taken that to an investor rather than a crowdfunding platform, there's no way that they would have gotten behind us. I mean, what is your strategy? Well, we're going to turn an old U-Haul into a, party stage and take it on the road for 4 months and see what happens. Like, that's not a sustainable plan in the eyes of a bank.
And why do you think it worked for Kickstarter then? This kind of, I wouldn't say, maybe it's probably the best way to say is not so serious approach to running a business. Like, why do you think that people supported this, philosophy?
The thing about Kickstarter, first of all, like crowdfunding in general is a revolutionary platform. Like, I truly believe that the world is a changed place and it keeps evolving in this direction post crowdfunding. And I think that people really appreciate a genuine character, and having Zach as the face of things was really nice because, again, like, he looks a little homeless, like he acts a little homeless. He's really relatable and very strange, but he's lovable at the end of the day. And, just being able to see this random person on the internet and be like, I could support this, like $20, sure, go follow your dreams, you strange little bearded man. And I think that really helps. Like, there's also the rewards. So you are unofficially buying presents, which is nice. Whereas like an investor, they would have interest, but a Kickstarter backer, they get presents. So even if it fails miserably and we don't have a business, they still get their cool socks.
Right. And one thing that's so interesting in your first campaign was that you had this lowest tier, which is you pledge $1 or more, and this made up over, I guess, half of the backers, right? Almost 1,400 backers pledged this $1 or more. Talk to us about this. Like, was it literally they could pledge $1 or whatever they wanted? How was this set up?
Oh yeah, so that was something that we introduced later in the campaign because I think, and I'm not sure, but I think that our lowest one, other than that, was like $20. Possibly, it was something in that region, and we just decided, like the algorithms of Kickstarter, the feeling of participation and the feeling of like, I'm part of this, like, shouldn't be limited to anybody. And we kind of ate the cost and just sent freakers to everybody that, had an extra dollar to spare. And it worked out great. Like, we ended up doing it for our second campaign also. And we got this flood of like random people because there's all these coupon sites and like weird, like discount, apps. And they started like picking up like, for only $1, you can get blah, blah, blah. So we got a flood of traffic. And if you look at just the numbers, it looks like we lost money on it, but that drove our algorithm up. So we got into the front page of Kickstarter because there was so much, like, even though they were only $1 pledges, there were, a wave of pledges. So we got bumped up to the popular list, and that really helped our exposure. And, at the end of the day, more people had freakers in their hands, which was our end goal in the first place.
Okay, so like you use this tier almost as like a way to generate virality, get this to go, get this to spread more, and of course, like you were saying, it paid off in the end because it helped you rank higher on Kickstarter. That's an interesting approach. I haven't heard of that before, but it makes a lot of sense. Okay, so after raising that, after you broke through the goal and raised almost $63,000. What did you guys do after that? Like, how did you guys, was it strictly just to buy that truck? Like, how did you guys use that money? Was it all for operations, or what did you do with it?
Oh, we used that money so fast. So we went to production. We got a full run of production, which was, big chunk of the money went into production. We got a trade show booth. We started showing, and then the rest of it was into the box truck. And that's kind of been it was our main marketing source there for a while. And it was like the only marketing source that we paid for. Because everything, in the world of social media, everything is free, and we really, really took advantage of that one. But the box truck was great, and that was our way of like connecting with people and like breaking bread with, hopefully customers. But if not, like whatever, like just getting out into the world. That was our vehicle, both literally and figuratively.
Yeah, so you mentioned something a little bit earlier, which was that you knew that you did not just want to do e-commerce, you wanted to go out into retail, and the way to do that was to go through these trade shows. So first, what made you come up with that decision that it wasn't just going to be e-commerce, it had to be in physical stores?
Yeah, so most of our business isn't online. Like I think like maybe 30%, maybe less than that, is from online sales, and most of our business is coming from trade shows, going into gift stores. Like you can find our product in like 3,000 boutiques in the U.S. Like it's relatively widespread after all these years. But the internet is what made us exist. And if it hadn't have been for these platforms that we were born into, just living in the age that we do, like we wouldn't be here. So I don't think we could have started with trade shows like if we didn't have an online community and like building that up, like then everything else would have crumbled.
Right, makes sense. So when you go to these trade shows, like you're saying, they can be very expensive. So of course you have to make sure you're using your time wisely. Any tips there when you're setting up at a trade show, especially if it's a product that's a brand new launched product? How do you make sure you get the most use out of a trade show?
Yeah, I've been to enough trade shows at this point that I see a lot of like new brands coming in and, just people following their creative instincts. And a lot of times they'll like share a booth with another friend or something. And like a lot of them walk the shows first to make sure that it's the right, market for them. Just getting a feel. I would definitely recommend walking the show before, spending 10 grand on a booth.
Does that mean going to the trade show like the year before? Like what do you mean by walking the show?
Yeah. Go to the show as just a spectator before you delve in head first. Because we've been to trade shows that aren't worth it. We've been to a lot that make our business, fail for the next year. So just finding your target market. And like, again, we're in the gift industry, so it's a little bit more clear cut for us. But, we've started going to outdoor shows and sports shows and licensing shows. And, some of them are worth it and some of them are not. And gift shows are where we thrive, but, it's different for everybody. So I would talk to other people that are like similar, that have similar businesses to what you're trying to do. If you can, I would try to go to the show before you sign up for it and just see what kind of relationships are forged from each particular show, because they're all different, but they do help.
Mm-hmm. So when you're walking the show, when you're taking a look at it before investing in it, you're talking to other vendors that are already there. Like, how do you determine if it'll be a good fit or not?
Should talk to the showrunners also and see, like, get a list of buyers and then like look up their stores and see if they're, who you want to sell to, because early on we had to decide what we were going to sell to and what we were not. And trying to make a brand is really, it can get kind of tricky, because on one hand you're like, yeah, you want to buy my stuff? Great. Give me all your money. Like, I don't care. Second, on the other hand, it's like, well, I'm a brand. Like, I have to protect, I have to do things that are in line with the brand. So we ended up actually making a knockoff of ourselves for people that were not on brand, like, CVS or, some random box store when our boutiques see us in something like that, they get really mad. So we made up a knockoff brand and kind of made them a cheaper product. They're still all made in the USA, which is great. Because, one day CVS called and said, we want freakers. And I said, ooh, that might make some of our smaller independent mom and pop boutiques, like, unfortunately craven. So knowing what your ideal market is a good step. But it's also like, you can also figure it out along the way. There are no rules to anything. Like, that's part of the beauty of living in 2017, is that you can kind of make your own path. Like, that's what we didn't follow any of the rules and we're still standing. So if that gives hope to anybody, please grasp onto it.
Yeah, this is an interesting approach where you already had a lot of retail stores, a lot of boutiques that were carrying your product, carrying the true brand, the true version, I guess, of your product. And now you had a much bigger store come along, like CVS in your case, and they wanted the product as well, but you realize that I can't sell to CVS the same thing that I'm selling to these boutiques, because not only is it bad branding for the customers, because they're like, hey, wait a second, I thought this was a small, kind of mom and pop shop sort of brand. Now it's a CVS. Talk to us about this process. Like, how did you know how to do this, but how do you begin to create a different version of that same product to sell to a different type of retailer?
Things like CVS and I'm trying to think of other things that Coveralls has been in. Like, let's just say like a Walmart as a blanket example. They don't care as much about like brand recognition. Like, it's not, they care about like just selling a ton of product and getting it out of their door, making a little bit of money, well, a lot of money because it's on a large scale. But, their margins are different. They have a different way of doing everything. And it felt weird going from a small mom and pop independent boutique to a Walmart situation. And it just didn't, it wasn't fluid. And also, of course, like, the stores would get really mad. And since they are our main source of business and we love them and respect them, we didn't want to taint that relationship. But I mean, even going to like the technical, like, logistics side of things, bigger box stores want a way cheaper price than, an independent boutique in a small town. So it wouldn't have worked anyway with our current pricing. So we made our product thinner and smaller and like less branding, less went into the packaging. We just found ways to cut costs, but still have like a quality made in the USA product. And we hawked it off on them.
And so these big box retailers, I'm assuming, attracted to the product that you had because of the original true version of it. They weren't like, hey, wait a second, we want the exact same thing you're selling to these boutiques. They didn't care about that?
I think they cared a little bit, but at the end of the day, it was up to us whether, like, they wouldn't have been able to buy a Freaker at its normal price. Like, too much goes into it production-wise to get down to, like, the price point that they're used to. Like, it's just, end of the day, it's too expensive of a product for what they're looking for. And I think that they did want the original product, but they couldn't have had it for the price that they were asking for. So we worked with them to find a good compromise in the middle, and it was a win-win because they got, the thing that they wanted, and we got, a big account. And at the end of the day, like, it wasn't made in China, which was really important to us. Like, if we said, no, you can't buy Freakers, have fun with the rest of your life, they would have just gone to a knockoff and, manufactured overseas, which kind of defeats our whole purpose, which is, like local economy, local business, small independent, makers and doers and creative and fun. And nah, it's not gonna, if it was knockoffs were made in China and that's what took the business from these big accounts, like it would have been very antithetical to what we're trying to.
Right. So you wanted to make it work. So can the high-end product versus the mass market version, can those two, I guess you can call them brands or sub-brands, I'm not sure which one to call it, but can they help each other, or do you try to keep them completely separate from each other? Like, you never want a customer that is typically shopping at these boutiques to discover the Freaker brand at CVS.
Yeah, when we first did this was a couple of years ago, and we decided to do the knock ourselves off, and I almost said knock ourselves up and knock ourselves off. When we first decided to do this, I had a lot more icky, gross feelings about it. Like, we're lying to our customers, our beloved fan base. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized that our customers love us because it's a small business ideology. They want to help their neighbors. They love the silliness of the product. At the end of the day, it's just helping small local economy, which is a lot of what we're trying to push through our marketing and helping other businesses. And our whole process is kind of focused around this made in America, small creative makers. Let's push them up and onto another level and like have them be actual players in this gift market game. So the more I thought about like the knocking ourselves off to sell the big box stores, the more I like really appreciated the psychology behind it that I hadn't really understood before, which is, this is the same thing. We're still making it in America. It's still like the same mill that's making it for these big box stores. It's still the same, like our money is being put into local economy, no matter how you look at it, whether the brand is stupid or not. So that helped me a lot. And I started to feel a lot more proud of the decision after I talked myself through like the actual economics of the situation.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. So I do want to talk now about that what you're saying earlier about how this is a product that people typically give for free. They get, swag stuff we all get. Like, these are things that businesses give out as promotional material. How did you guys approach the market and message that this was not like those free promotional products? And what kind of obstacles did you have to overcome when you're trying to market a product that could be gotten for free?
Storytelling. I'm going to blame it all on storytelling and personality and brand. And, when we launched our first Kickstarter, first of all, the product is a little bit different. Like, it's not neoprene, it's knit. It's like, all USA made, but whatever, like that's irrelevant. What is relevant is the branding behind it, that there was a face to this product. It was just some like strange little group of people that were trying to do something different. And I think people really connected with that. They saw it more as not necessarily an art product that they could, that's on the consumer market, but, there's these random people and they kind of represent, the original American dream of like, you can be anybody and figure it out. And I think that the story behind the product was more important than the product itself in the beginning. And that evolved into, a full-fledged brand and business. But I think that's that sense of community and a sense of like personality and actual like humanity behind a product was our launch gate.
I was gonna say that I think that's important that people are, buying, investing, supporting the story that you're telling. Otherwise, you become a commodity, and then they start comparing you to these to free, which is a terrible place to be. And so it's great that you guys recognize that and were able to tell the story behind it. And speaking of approaching the market, you mentioned that one of the key, places people buy or key reasons people buy things from you is in the gifting market. How is the gifting market, the gifting demographic different than, the non-gifting demographic?
I'm not sure since I haven't had any other experience in business. I just know who our people are, and I know that they're like very. I get emails all the time that are just so funny. And I think that they realize that they're going to be talking to a person rather than like a robot in India.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like your business makes, your product makes a lot of sense for the gifting kind of market, the gifting, the people that are shopping around for gifts. How do you approach your marketing? How do you make sure that you're not just taking advantage of that, but you are making sure that you're positioning your business in a way that taps into this desire for people to give your product away as a gift?
The gifting market is interesting. Everything we sell is under $20, and so that in itself is like we're set up perfectly for the gift. We have like over 400 designs, and they range from things that are super weird, like Tomcat Cruise is a really fun one, and it's this cat wearing a bomber jacket with a tooth in the middle of its face. But then we also have colleges and NFL and just like plain ones, and Golden Goals is one of my favorites. It's a bunch of seagulls wearing old lady wigs. So we have like a bunch of like humorous things that are like really right for the gifting. Like, and we kind of focus our design process around like what would be a good gift. Like one of ours is called Dad, and it's just a pair of underpants with hairy legs. But the marketing aspect of it is interesting. And there's like two things that I'd like to talk about with marketing: the power of being genuine and who you actually are, and then also understanding the role as an entertainer. So it's 2017, like everything that you do that hits the light of day is marketing. Like the way that you dress, how you talk, what you talk about, the environment that you create for yourself. It's all about what you're putting out there for the public to judge you on, for lack of a better word. Like you're a living, breathing marketing machine. Once you accept that, and like it's not like a science, it's just being alive in this age. It takes a lot of pressure off of you and your marketing strategies. Like we have been able to market ourselves as a brand, and I don't have to adjust my language or attitude or humor to fit into somebody else's brand guidelines, which is really wonderful. So I just go into a manic spiral and voila, it's on brand. So if you can mold yourself into your own brand, you'll always be on point. And I think people really recognize what feels genuine and what feels real. And if you're just honest about who you are and pump it every day, like really greatly into your marketing, like I think people really appreciate it. And for us in particular, most of us are inherently silly and kind of irreverent, and we aren't big fans of rules. And I think that struck a chord in the climate of like a corporate blandness. And it sounds cliche, but it works as if you do you. But that also comes with one catch. Like absolutely be yourself. It works way better than trying to, well, I saw this in a magazine and I think it worked for them, so I'm going to try that too. Like it's not going to feel as good. But also be yourself, but please realize that marketing isn't like a cubicle job. It's the job of an entertainer. And I know a lot of people in marketing, and they think of themselves as like a clerical or psychologically desk-bound. But it's an entertainer's job. Like you could be selling the most boring product in the world, but it's your job. It's literally your job to make it fun. Like I think that more marketers should learn from drag queens. Like RuPaul is the ultimate marketing genius. Like she sold men in dresses to the entire world, and she makes a fortune off of having fun. Like she's a great time, but at the end of the day, she's hardcore business. And anybody needing a marketing pep talk, just like go down a RuPaul spiral. We all have a lot to learn from the drag queens.
I love that. So, speaking of being an entertainer, I like this approach where you're always entertaining. You should always be marketing, but don't feel that pressure of, okay, I got to turn it on, now I can turn it off. It should be a part of your DNA, I think is what you're getting at. Now, what are some ways that Freaker USA, like as a company, makes sure to entertain your customers, your potential customers? How do you guys entertain them?
So, let's just go down to like the very baseline basic. Like say that you order a freaker off the website. You go through, you find something you like, from the minute you press buy, like the experience that you're going to have is like, our shipping confirmation, like is really weird. Like all of our newsletters situation, like when we send you your tracking numbers, it's really like, hey buttercup, how you doing? You're looking mighty fine. Like it's just like an unexpected retail experience. And then when you get your package, we have like these very strange boxes that tell you that you smell pretty. And then you open it up and it's all gift wrapped, and each one of them comes with a personalized love note. Depending on your order, there's one that I really like. One of our love notes is it's a cat like jumping up in the air for joy with a litter box that has a little bit of pee shaped like a heart, and it says, "You're in our hearts." And I love it so much. But I can't imagine. Like I've ordered a lot of packages off the internet, and it's about 70-30%, where 70% is just going to be, a product in a cardboard box. The other 30%, like, just a little bit of personalization, or, companies that make me feel a little bit special, or like I'm supporting a real person and not just like an Amazon warehouse. They always get my repeat business. So I've tried to learn from my own personal experience of like, well, what works on me? Like, I don't know, like somebody being a little bit out of the box always works on me. So let's apply that to our own business and see how we can make people feel when they get our products. And so far it's been working. Like we get a lot of great feedback on like, what are you doing? Like, I love it, but what's happening?
I like that. I think it's important that when you have these chances to interact or to make a first impression on your customer, you shouldn't necessarily always follow what you see other people doing, right? Because a lot of times you just get a plain, like you're saying, the Amazon box. You open it up and there's your product and that's it. There's no kind of delightfulness to getting it. There's no delightfulness to reordering it because you expect something new, expect a new surprise this time. And I think that that's a great way to encourage people to continue to support what you guys are doing. So I think that that's an awesome idea. And what about in terms of like content? Do you guys create a lot of content around it's kind of funny talking about koozies because it's you don't typically think of it being an entertaining thing, but like what about like in terms of marketing or content when you're maybe displaying ads or things like that? Do you guys find ways to entertain through that as well?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, after I get off of this call, I'm going to the grocery store to get a bunch of fruit and glue googly eyes on it for a photo shoot. Like, we try to. We started this business with the idea of having fun and sustaining a lifestyle where like other people that have a creative inkling can join our team, and we're not millionaires, so we can support ourselves. And the main original goal was to be happy. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's transpired, and I think that we've attracted a lot of people who share the basic like foundational goal of just like don't be a miserable situation. I watch a lot of The Office, and with Dunder Mifflin, I think about a lot and this environment. And I love that show so much, but it's also like a good guideline for what not to provide your employees with. So we, obviously we have a lot of fun here. And
speaking of being authentic, I think one of the ways that it's shown through the most was in, I believe, Zach's appearance or Zachary, I'm not sure what you guys call him, his appearance on Shark Tank. So I actually do remember, I watch Shark Tank a lot, but I don't catch every episode, but I do kind of remember this episode a bit, and I went back to kind of read more about it, and his personality did shine through, and a lot of the investors liked him as a person, but what happened? Give us. So I kind of lay what happened. What you guys are looking for? You wanted, I think, $200,000 for 10%. I think you came in saying that you had $350,000 in sales, which is, I think, a lot more than most people that come on a Shark Tank looking for money. But what ended up happening?
We never really wanted an investment from them anyway. Like we do stuff like that purely for marketing. They had actually found us through Kickstarter, and they emailed us like 2 months after our Kickstarter ended in 2011. They're like, hey, you want to come on this show? We won't make you do the actual application process, so you can just do it. We're like, I don't know. That contract sounds really scary. I don't know. And then we thought about it, and they called again like a year later. And so we were 1 year into business. They wanted us on there for entertainment value. And we weren't looking for investors that sounded antithetical to what we were trying to do, but the marketing aspect of it was amazing. So we were only a year in, so we overvalued our company, went to them, and just had a great time. And that did more for us than I think actually getting an investment would. We get a lot of recognition. Zach gets pulled over on the streets 5 years later. You're that weird guy, weren't you? Boop, boop, what's wrong with you? You're great. And that's kind of what we were going for. It's just, it doesn't matter. Don't take yourself so seriously. You don't need this guy that's being mean to you in a suit to give you all of this money to succeed. You're already a success. You are on national TV. It's free. It's great marketing. And you're having fun. So that's all that really matters.
Now I want to talk a little bit about actually to running the business itself, because you mentioned earlier that you guys are in 3,000 boutiques and these big box retailers. How's this all managed? What happens behind the scenes? I can't imagine you guys running around and trying to do all this craziness that you guys sound like you guys started with. How do you manage all of this today?
We have an amazing team. We have a great, great, great team of, our sales manager. He lives in New York. Actually, he's the only one that's not in the office every day. And, he didn't graduate high school. He had been working at Radio Shack. He has never owned a computer before he was 32. Not who you would expect to be a high level management in a relatively successful company. But the way that he can flirt with these old white women is magical. And recognizing people's skills that are not in a traditional on paper resume kind of skills. There's a lot of magic to personality and just being yourself. And it works. It works. They love him. We all love him. It's great. So the fact that he didn't know what an email was by the time he was 29, it's irrelevant. He figured it out. He's, hardworking. And being motivated is way more important than having a built up resume. Nobody cares. We hire people all the time that don't have, I barely even look at the resumes at this point. It's all just cover letters, personality, and your motivation. It's 2017. Nobody needs to have gone to college. Your communications major degree or your communications degree is almost irrelevant. Whether or not you can have a good attitude and have a good work ethic is really all that matters. And a lot of the businesses that I've seen that are popping up that are similar to ours.
Definitely. And what about I think you said you had 400 designs or over 400 designs now on the site. How do you guys manage that? Because do you guys carry inventory for all 400 designs?
We did up until 2 weeks ago. Inventory management is not my favorite subject in the world because it is really hard. It's so hard. When we finally, after 6 years, we found a warehouse that has really just figured out the whole system, and we finally made the call and just gave it to them. So up until last month, we were housing hundreds of thousands of products in our warehouse, and it was a lot. But I'm glad that we did it. I'm really happy that we had the experience and we know the basics of what's happening in that world, how to basically manage it, what the problems are to look for. It's all just logistics, which isn't the fun part of anything. But
how did you guys do that transition then? Did you guys just show up and dump all these koozies at them? How did you guys move from you guys holding it to working with a third party?
I like your story so much better than the reality that I almost just want to go with it. No, it was a lot of planning and preparation and actual logistics that we had to figure out. But now that it's done, we feel a lot more breathing room, and we're able to get back to our basics and what we started this company for, and strange video shoots and just doing what we love and having fun with it and being with our friends and making a career out of it somehow, some way, every day.
Awesome.
So we're back to that. So logistics is not the most exciting part, which is why I personally feel a big burden of inventory management hell lifted off his shoulders.
Nice. So what do you guys want to focus on now? Like now that you don't have to do such a boring and complicated task, like how do you want to spend your time? Your company, how does the company want to spend their time these days?
Marketing. I think we want to get back to our roots. Not that we ever truly left them. They just got muddled in like the actual heaviness of running a business every day. It's way more than we ever expected it to be, which is fine. It's great. It's, labor of love. But now that we have a little bit more free time without inventory management and shipments and, these worldwide logistics, I think that we're going to do a lot more like strange initiatives. Like last year, for the last 2 years, we took a band on tour in our box truck house, and we did some strange things. Like they're amazing. They're called Harmonica Lewinsky. And actually the sales manager I was talking about, he's a drummer. And so we'll like take him to some of our stores that, sell well. Like we have a couple surf stores that do really well. So we'll just like bring up the box truck and make grilled cheese for everybody. And
so you guys still have this box truck. You guys haven't given up on this box truck. You guys still using it.
We have not given up on the box truck.
That's funny. Yeah, thanks so much for your time, Lauren. So Freaker USA, again, or freakerusa.com, again, is a website. Anywhere else that listeners can tune into to keep up with all the craziness going on over there?
Yeah, bring it on. Like all the social media stuff. Like let's do all of it. And box truck may be coming to a town near you. Let's break some bread, eat some cheese.
Well, how do they see where the box truck's going?
Yeah, sign up for our newsletter. It's not boring, I promise. And we have weekly giveaways from other American-made companies. This is one of my favorite parts about my job, is that I get to like do a lot of research and find like these other makers and doers and people that are making things locally and following their dreams. And I do a weekly feature on a different company every week.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really great. There's some amazing things out there that I never would have realized if I hadn't have started delving down this path. And a lot of people are doing a lot of things, and it's really encouraging. It's a really beautiful time that we live in. If you just look at entrepreneurial trends and whatnot, a lot more people are breaking out of the traditional mold and just doing something different, and it's working out really well. And I'm very proud of everybody.
Awesome. So again, freakerusa.com. We'll link all of the social media stuff in the show notes. And yeah, again, thank you so much for your time, Lauren.
Thanks.
Here's a sneak peek of what's in store for the next Shopify Masters episode.
You always need to try to make yourself redundant. So as an entrepreneur in whatever you're doing. So like kind of early on, you for us, it was this journey, right? It was 3 of us. We're doing pretty much everything. Then we hired someone, for instance, for the kitchen or like to early on to, just clean the floor and cut the vegetables.
Thanks for listening to Shopify Masters, the e-commerce marketing podcast for ambitious entrepreneurs. To start your store today, visit shopify.com/masters to claim your extended 30-day free trial.